Hello, and welcome to MoviePod, a reclaimed cinema podcast. This week we're going to be talking about the film, or one of the two films that inspired the Razzie Awards. It was made fun of a lot in 1980 when it came out because it was kind of capturing a trend and capturing a artist that were kind of a bit flash of the pan in the moment. So we're going to be talking about the 1980 roller disco fantasy musical Xanadu. I'm joined again by Ethan. How's it going, Ethan?
Doing good. Thank you for having me back on the show, Brian.
Yeah. So what's your general experience with Xanadu?
Before I heard about it, or before I watched it.
Yeah, like what was like the reputation? What were you, that you heard about the movie before you actually watched it?
From what I remember, I always heard about it not being good, but I'd never actually learned why. I kind of just with bad film lists and stuff like that, I'd see Xanadu and there'd be like, oh, okay, so it's apparently a bad film. And I'd also see lots of copies of the soundtrack and all that on vinyl in some record stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, the soundtrack was huge. It was going it was number one for a while. It went I think it went double platinum and had a lot of singles on it, because the soundtrack's Olivia Newton-John and Electric Light Orchestra, so they're both incredibly popular. The soundtrack's more popular than the movie by far.
Yeah, for sure. I actually, considering that I'm actually a pretty big ELO fan, I'm surprised I hadn't looked into the film until more recently. Because their music in it, not to get too far into the film, but their music on it is phenomenal.
Yeah, and even the critics at the time just said the ones that said the music's good, it's just everything else in it is just strange, which it is. We'll get into a little bit why it's strange too, but this movie was trying to capture some trends because Olivia and John did Grease a couple years prior. That was absolutely a massive film and also a massive soundtrack. Electric Light Orchestra, not sure where they were in their career at this point in time, but in the 70s they're absolutely massive. So it was trying to capture a lot of trends that were kind of just surprisingly on their way out as well. It was meant to be a really low budget picture at first, and it started. The budget started increasing once Olivia and John started showing some interest in the movie. So okay, well now we can expand the budget a little bit and get someone else involved like ELO. And yeah, and also what's crazy about this movie, this is Gene Kelly's last film.
Yeah, I was not that familiar with Gene Kelly's stuff, and in hindsight, I checked out Singing in the Rain yesterday before this, and
so fucking good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And there's lots of stuff in it that I recognized from just seeing out in the wild. I had no clue was from Singing in the Rain, Make 'Em Laugh, Good Morning, that one tongue twister song.
Yeah.
Very well, I'd seen YouTube videos of them and stuff like that and really enjoyed them. And so actually find out that they were from this was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, Gene Kelly, he wasn't at this point, he wasn't really acting as much as he used to. His heyday was, a lot of the old Hollywood kind of thing. And he was trying to think if there's any big movies he was in the 70s that were really popped off. This feels like he was a bit of coming back from into making a movie, because he was just he was, a director himself. He, Singing in the Rain, he co-directed, especially all the dance sequences. He choreographed them himself. So, yeah, this is kind of a guy coming back from not retirement, but kind of just he wasn't really actively in movies.
Yeah, and kind of a coming back for one last job thing in a way, in hindsight.
Yeah, and what's crazy is he is in his late 60s in this movie, but the way he moves and dances in the movie is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I to go back to Singing in the Rain and all that. It's so impressive seeing how he moves in it, his footwork and all that. He just moves so gracefully, and then you watch Xanadu, and apparently he had practiced a lot of the stuff in this for weeks leading up to production, and you couldn't tell because it just seems like he's in his element, essentially.
And it's funny, in the behind the scenes feature at what's it called? I'm gonna get the name right for this. I just logged it on Letterboxd.
Going back to Xanadu? Yes,
going back to Xanadu. And the interesting thing about that, so Kenny Ortega was the main choreographer for this film. Kenny Ortega is probably best known for he directed the High School Musical movies.
Yep.
He was a choreographer for like some Gloria Estefan tours, as well as he was going to be he choreographed the Michael Jackson "This Is It" concert, which ended up getting canceled because Michael Jackson died. But they released a concert film about it. And so like he is like a pretty big choreographer, but this is his first film credit was this movie. And in the behind the scenes featurette, like he talks about how they were to get Gene Kelly to be interested in this project there, but Gene Kelly came in and was like, I'm not going to dance in your movie. But they were just talking about it, and like Gene Kelly was like, if I were to dance, what kind of dance moves, Kenny, would you want me to do? Kenny Ortega has kind of like imitated some of Gene Kelly's previous movies. And it's like, this move here. Gene Kelly's like, oh, that's what I call that. Like, and Gene Kelly would just do it again. Through that one conversation, he was able to get Gene Kelly to be on board with the movie and somehow encouraged him to start to dance in the film.
Yeah, like, it's kind of interesting thinking about what this movie would have been like if Gene Kelly didn't do any dancing in it.
Yeah, like, it would just be like, what's the point? Like,
yeah, it's like seeing if you've ever seen like Memoirs of an Invisible Man or something like that, where it's like a comedian dude. Who is in that again? I'm trying to remember.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, Chevy Chase, where he's like doing his damnedest to like not be funny in it because he's trying to get into serious roles, and it's kind of like that in a way, where they're just not doing the thing that they're known for.
Yeah, at least like Gene Kelly is like above a triple threat though. Like he can sing, he can dance, he can act, he can direct, he can choreograph, he can do absolutely anything. So like at least Gene Kelly is capable of acting in a way that Chevy Chase is not really a good actor at all.
Not really.
But like Gene Kelly, you could just get this movie just to act. And what blew my mind reading about this movie too is that like Gene Kelly is supposed to be like playing a role from like this whole movie is supposed to be inspired by a movie we call it Down to Earth 1947. And he's supposed to be playing the character that, like the lead character in that movie who falls in love with how I pronounce it again, Terpsichore, who's like Olivia Newton-John in this movie. So it's the same kind of thing about like muses from Olympus and stuff. So like, it's supposed to be him like playing a character, like the same character in a movie like 33 years later, which is just a baffling choice for a movie.
It's a really interesting idea, honestly, just finding a way to connect a previous work of his to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I don't think he's in it, but he's like, the idea is like the movie's inspired by this movie from the 40s, so like why not just like pretend it's the same guy who's a little bit older? But like I don't know, I'm trying to think so 33 years ago, we're talking like 1993. Like I'm trying to think of like what are some 1993 movies you can just like do a sequel to now, like Philadelphia or something? Like I don't know, like it's just a bizarre concept for an already bizarre movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, so let's get into the plot a little bit because so Xanadu is mostly about like it's about a guy named Sonny who's like he's a struggling artist, and like his day job is to like he takes album covers and blows them up for like put them on murals and stuff. He like puts album covers on vans and stuff for people. But he's like creatively he's kind of stuck. Starts off with him like has like some of the sketches he writing down. He hates it, so he like rips it apart and throws it out the window, and like the wind catches it and it blows towards a mural of like 9 dancing muses from like Greek mythology, and then that just awakens the mural, and we get like the mural comes alive, starts dancing. We get the ELO song "I'm Alive" playing.
Yeah, and they all have these like very like distinct like neon silhouettes surrounding them as they're dancing around.
Yeah, like the effects are not very great in this movie. You can see like a movie with a bigger budget doing more interesting implementations of the same effects, but
they haven't aged the best.
Yeah, it looks cheesy, but I think it kind of fits the vibe of the movie, and I think like that's what makes this movie kind of like this. People come around this movie a little bit because like if you're the movie that inspires the Razzies, which are the awards for the worst film of the year, you expect it to be an absolute dog shit unwatchable movie, but this movie is very watchable.
It's very watchable. Like it's kind of a movie too where like if you kind of just like let yourself get taken away by it, you end up really enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, and like it's funny because like even like the '80s nostalgia wave like doesn't really tackle movies that are actually made directly in 1980 itself because like turn of a decade is always going to be holdover from the previous decade. So like this is very much covering 1970s material. So
yeah, very like disco and roller skating, as we'll get into a little bit later. Like lots of like just 70s holdovers that
yeah.
at this point were getting really quickly disliked and hated.
Yeah, like, there was like especially disco. There was like the death to disco thing where they burned all the disco albums like 1979.
Disco Demolition Night.
Yeah, which is mostly just a very homophobic movement.
Yeah, like homophobic, kind of also racist in some ways too, since disco is a very like black-oriented genre.
And like it's funny because you think of like 70s movies with like the new Hollywood era. So you got the directors like Martin Scorsese, William Friedkin, all these guys are making a lot more cynical movies that are more personal. Like 70s cinema was not as like upbeat as like the kind of technicolor musical this one's kind of trying to do again. So, and then you get the 80s coming along. The 80s are, frankly, a very cynical decade. So, like, this movie is kind of like out of time and out of place, which is kind of what the movie's about too, because the movie is like trying to put together like a 40s musical with like modern 1980 rock stuff.
Yeah, and like the film kind of alludes to that also in the beginning, where it has the old Universal logo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the plane going around it, and then the plane turns into like a rocket ship or something.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
And then it gets all these like neon lights behind this neon trail, I guess, as it's like spinning around and all. Clearly trying to emulate some of the like vibes and all that. Big, big Hollywood musicals for the 80s and sort of at the time modern.
Yeah, like this whole movie is just, and also like the fact that like we're going back to like Greek mythology. It's a lot of Art Deco style for the buildings. It's like this movie is probably best described as like the aesthetic is like a neon Art Deco. Like when they actually build like the roller rink, it was like Xanadu itself. Like it is very much like present coming together.
Yeah, like there's like in that sort of theme of past and present, also just like it kind of pervades throughout the whole film with just like certain like musical numbers, certain like design, like certain like plot elements.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like even like the rollerblade craze like in the 70s was kind of a bit of a revival from an earlier movement as well. Like that was something that like it was coming back into style, but it had gone away for a little bit. So like, and this movie like started off its life like the writers were trying to do like a movie about like being into rollerblading in the 70s.
Yeah, I forgot about that part from the behind the scenes thing. They do mention that a little bit.
And then they probably just took so much cocaine that just became what the movie is right now.
Yeah, pretty much. As you watch the thing I kind of did as I watched the movie is I kind of just mentally pictured a mountain of cocaine just slowly growing with each like
Frankly, movies were better when cocaine was involved, like as directly as it is. Like, bring cocaine back to the sets for sure. I did. Yeah, like I did Popeye about a month or so ago, and that movie really had a drug smuggling ring to bring barrels of cocaine onto the set of that movie, and the movie feels like a cocaine cocaine fueled dream. That movie's the same year as Popeye, same year as Xanadu, I believe, both in 1980. Yeah.
Actually, I need to check out Popeye too. I started listening to the first few minutes of that podcast, and hearing you talk about like the film and all this, like it just like sounded really enjoyable.
It's a blast. There's nothing like it.
And like also, I've always been interested in checking out more Shelley Duvall stuff.
She's incredible in the movie. But yeah, so like with these muses that he activates, and the dancing is pretty like stiff at this specific scene with the muses dancing. It's almost like more of an interpretive dance that they're doing. So it's not as exciting of a way to open a movie. But all these muses, they start flying across the earth, and one of them, played with Olivia Newton-John, she is on roller skates and is like, going very, very very fast, and runs into Sonny, bumping into him. And they have a brief kiss, and she skates away, and the company's like, what the fuck is happening here? We also get to see Gene Kelly, who's playing he's playing Danny, who is supposed to be a character from a different movie, playing clarinet on the beach. Yeah, especially because this movie has the modern element of this movie is going to be a lot of electric guitars and synthesizers and things like that, and he's a lot more into the big band stuff of the 40s. So him having a woodwind instrument kind of it sets up that this guy is a man of the past, and Sonny is a guy of the present. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Sonny, he goes to his job at the album cover reproduction place, and he absolutely hates his boss so much. And one of the covers he has to reproduce has a picture of what looks like Olivia Newton-John on it, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" So he
goes around and he's asking all these people. There's a specific part in that where he's he comes up to some guy and asks if he knows the girl. He doesn't know who it is, but then asks, "Hey, you're single, right? You interested in one of my daughters?" And just interesting way to bring that up.
Yeah. Again, a very, very weird movie. And so he tries going back to where he first met her, and by the beach there. And is this where he flies off into the water, or is this a bit later on? Yeah.
He shows her the girl, and then as they're talking, Olivia Newton-John comes by, and he's like, "Oh shit, I need to go after her." He then goes up to these girls, and he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your bike?" Sure. Just visually, sure, but I'll trust this stranger to take my bike.
Yeah. And then he flips it into the water. He breaks a piece of wood and falls right into the ocean. It's so fucking funny. It's a good stunt. But he breaks apart the wood, falls right into the water. It's really funny to look at.
I don't remember what I was going to say. Forget what I'm saying.
But so he eventually is able to track Olivia and John back down to the same place where they met before. It's some Art Deco style auditorium, and she's able to introduced herself inside, this interior, it's a lot of it's a warehouse, it's it's not an active building. There's a lot of barrels and crates putting around. Almost looks like a first person shooter level or something like that, or a Tony Hawk Pro Skater arena. Yeah.
Just decides to roller skate. I think he roller skates around this abandoned warehouse.
Yeah. As he's talking to her, it's kind of a common trend in these roller skate movies from this era. It's a whole micro genre actually. There's a movie called Roller Boogie, which is basically just a bunch of teens who want to save the local arena from a construction developer and stuff like that. And all these movies are trying to sell how cool roller skating is. They roller skating, rollerblading, whatever it is. I know there's a difference. Maybe. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a fun bad movie. It's around the same year or so. It's directed by the guy who made Commando, which is one of my favorite movies. Yeah. I forget who's in it. I think it's Linda Blair's in it. Yeah, but it's it's not another like cult film, and like same it was made fun of for the same reason that Xanadu was, because it's just kind of like capturing a big trend. Like there's a lot of like small little movies like this that are just trying to like, all right, what are the kids into? The kids are into uh roller skates, so let's just try to make a roller skating movie for the teens.
Yeah, like I feel like the only time I've ever seen rollerblading is like actively cool is either A with Jet Set Radio or B if you ever have gone to like a woman's rollerblading thing and you just see them bashing into each other and knocking each other on their asses.
Oh yeah, like the movie Whip It.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I don't think I've seen that movie, but
really good movie. Yeah, and like or like Ramona Flowers and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. We didn't really see it that much in movies. I imagine like must be you know kind of difficult to film in some ways because you have to do all the blocking and staging for it. Yeah, this movie, like there's a lot of people just like skating around indoors in places, and especially our hero. Sonny's played by Michael Beck. He was also the lead in The Warriors. That's the Walter Hill movie about all the gangs in New York and such. Warriors come out and play. Yeah, fantastic movie, really good. That's just the year before this, I believe. Yeah, it's a great one. And but yeah, like they're kind of like they're clearly into each other as they're like kind of moving around this interior auditorium. She's, of course, like being like almost like a bit hard to get, but in kind of a mythical way.
yeah, like there's this sort of aura of this mystique to it, to Olivia Newton-John's character.
hmm
He's intentionally vague with a lot of her question, with her answers to his questions. Very, I guess, whimsical.
Yeah, and so like she says her name's Kira, but she won't say anything more about like who she is. And later on, we get Gene Kelly and Sonny. They meet again, and he's become like a construction guy, a real estate developer or something like that. And so he's kind of given up on his musical passions and stuff. So we're inside Gene Kelly's like house or apartment, and he's going through all his memorabilia of like the big band stuff from the 40s, and he's a big kind of dance room, and he's talking about how he had a romantic relationship with a blonde woman himself that kind of looks exactly like Olivia Newton-John. And we get a dance sequence. The song is
Let's see. I should have put these in my notes, but I will say also about the house and all that. If this is what a construction manager job gets you for a house, I need to get into construction because like big elaborate,
it's huge.
monstrous house with these giant rooms and like very nice ornate ceilings and floors and like paneling and all that.
Mhm.
It's like for a construction job. Like maybe in the 80s this is what construction
Well,
jobs.
well, like there's a version of this movie where you have a Donald Trump like construction mogul. The song that plays as he's remembering is he's almost like it's almost like ghostly. There's like you see the big band in the background, and like it's "You Made Me Love You," which is a standard from originally from the 1910s. Olivia Newton-John singing. She's kind of wearing. It's supposed to be like set in the 40s near the war. She's wearing almost like an officer's kind of uniform, like whatever. She's dressed like almost like a military kind of thing, like dress gown.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen like the Wookie Bugle Boy or something, it's kind of like an outfit like that.
hmm Yeah, and so then as that song's going on, then the song "Whenever You're Away From Me," which is Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John singing and dancing together, and
It's
mhm.
an interesting song too, because like test audiences apparently received it very well, but their big thing was, why isn't there a song between Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah, and it's crazy that this is the last dance number that Gene Kelly would have ever filmed then. Because like this is his last movie and his last scene they ever shot, and it's crazy that like it's funny like the the behind the scenes featurette like has Gene Kelly's widow talking about it, and between that, the way she talks about Gene Kelly and the way that Kenny Ortega talks about Gene Kelly is that like he seems to be a very, very fussy person to work with, especially like he wants things very specifically. He didn't want to do any dancing for the movie to begin with, but I imagine there must have been a truckload of money thrown his way to film this one final dance number for him.
Gene Kelly initially did not want to record this, but he eventually relented on a bunch of different conditions. Like, for example, he wanted this done in a closed,
Close set. Mm-hmm.
leading up to the recording. Kenny Ortega says that Gene Kelly brought him over to his house, put the viewfinder that he had worn during singing in the rain around his neck, and basically was like essentially like kind of mentoring him.
Mm-hmm. And it's a really nice, lovely song. I like this. I think it makes the movie work because again, like you can't have a Gene Kelly, Olivia Newton-John movie without having Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John do a song. Yeah.
And it's interesting that they just didn't decide to do that initially. I don't know if they just like maybe ran out of time or something.
I bet they pitched it so early to Gene Kelly, but Gene Kelly was just kept saying no. That it took to the very, very end of production, where like maybe a studio exec came in and told Gene like, hey, look, Gene, we need this number for this movie to work. And because like I don't know, it's just the fact that Gene Kelly went from saying like I do not want to do a single bit of dancing in this movie. I wonder, like, I don't know, I don't really know too much about Gene Kelly's late career, what he was like, but like I wonder it was a little like almost like stage fright in a way. Because it's a closed set, don't want a lot of people watching or something. But like Gene Kelly looks fucking incredible in this movie. He has nothing to worry about. Oh, he was born in late 60s, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has like a really funny bit where during this whole reminiscing with the past scene, he looks into a mirror and kind of like tries looking at the wrinkles in his face and such, and like he's like making kind of goofy faces, but like manipulating his cheeks and stuff, and like it's funny because like you can imagine him like trying to think of an old actor like a Dick Van Dyke now who's like literally 100 like doing that, like oh yeah, this guy's clearly a lot older, but like Gene Kelly, like you did not look that much older than you did in like The Pirate. Yeah. Yeah, like it seems like it makes sense for what the movie's trying to do, and it talks to him being kind of like missing his past and stuff, but like or like missing the love of his past, and yeah, but he's like not some like decrepit geezer like yeah. But yeah, this is truly the best part of the movie, I think, is the Gene Kelly, Olivia and John number for whenever you're away from me. It's such a nice scene.
It's such a cute scene between the two of them. They have so much good charisma throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, and Gene, it really is just a testament to Gene Kelly as a person that he's able to pull off. And he does more complex stuff later on, as we'll get into, but
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of a good way of showing that
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, like he's like, a good performer in this movie too. Like Olivia Newton-John's just fine. Like she's never been like the best actress in the world, but like, she looks charming, she's pretty, she can sing, she can, get the job done, but like this is not acting, she's never been an acting powerhouse per se. But like now there's Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly really never really had to either, but he's just an effortlessly charming person. And all the scenes he has with Sonny too, he's just, a natural performer. Like, and yeah, this whole, big sequence here is just it's so cool to look at. But mhm.
It's like it's interesting because like as we mentioned, some of the effects haven't aged well, but in some ways, like stuff like this have also like they work for their age.
It's funny. This is the same year as The Shining. Um, The Shining has a lot of you know, creepy ghost old time bands.
I'm trying to imagine a Xanadu musical
That'd be so good. Like Sonny like looks at the one of these album covers with Olivia and John on it and sees himself and is like, "You've always been here." Yeah. Gene Kelly's sucking off a bear. 1980, weird year. No, the director of Roller Boogie did Commando. Yeah, 80 is like be like 80. So like you get because you're like of Raging Bull, The Shining, Ordinary People wins Best Picture. That's a very good movie. Empire Strikes Back is the biggest movie of this year. Yeah, it was a 3 year gap between each movie. The first one's in '77. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like my take of this movie is the reason why like it didn't do so well is because like people were not into these earnest kind of movies back then. Like new wave's going to be like is on the rise too. So there's different musical styles going to hit the mainstream. Like hip hop's going to come up pretty soon as well. Like it seems to me a movie that I think that's what I like about going back to it is that it is an earnest movie of a very specific time and place. But it's also trying to it's a time and place in 1980, but it's also trying to do the Technicolor musical stuff of the 40s and put it with the modern style, which I do appreciate because like I do like musicals a lot. And yeah, it's just like there's of course there's musicals made in the '80s, but like this feels like it is a movie that like if it came out a few years prior, people would actually kind of gravitate towards it. But people still like the music. Like the soundtrack did absolutely incredible, and like they made a stage musical for this movie too. Like which like one of the ways this movie's been kind of reclaimed over time is that like sure this punchline of a musical Xanadu as a movie, it still made a Broadway musical in the 2007 and it was a hit. Like it was up for a lot of Tonys. It did like over 500 performances. People like the yeah, it was a huge hit too, which is kind of crazy that like this punchline of a movie actually kind of endure. And I think a big thing too is like when you hear a Razzie, the movie that made the Razzie, it's got to be the worst thing ever made. And it's not like Can't Stop the Music, which came out the same year, but came out a few months prior. And it's another musical. It has like the main cast is the Village People. I've only heard about it in context of the Razzies and being inspiring, but I've never seen it. Mhm. But yeah, And it's funny because so the Golden Raspberries I have issues with as an award show because like it's often like low hanging fruit for who they're making fun of. It's a very sexist award too, very transphobic award. But what I find the movies that often get like the best all the top awards, it's usually just the movies that had really big marketing and wasn't what people were expecting. Like the trailer for Xanadu is atrocious. It has a really really bad trailer. It's basically just like it's a love story between two people and how like time will freeze and love will last forever. It has like 5 songs by Olivia and John, 4 songs by ELO. You should go see this movie. It's a really poorly done trailer. The effects look awful in it. Yeah, and it's yeah. Despite like plot wise, it is kind of like what the movie is about. But it's also like the elements that people like with the movie is like mostly just the song and dance numbers rather than it is the and that's what people disliked with the movie at the point in time too. Like I think like, even Ebert was saying like the music's fine, just everything else around this movie is just not great. And I think the stuff around the movie I think the music's great in this movie, but I also think that the everything else is just merely fine. I don't think it's bad. Yeah. And it's funny. So the Razzies, 2005 had for the first 25 years they had special awards for the worst things for the first 25 years of existence. They had a category for worst musical for our first 25 years. The winner was not Xanadu. Xanadu was nominated but didn't win. But the winner was from Justin to Kelly. That's the musical produced by MTV about Kelly Clarkson and Justin. What's his name again? Justin to Kelly. They're like it was for the first season of American Idol. It was the winner Kelly Clarkson and the runner up Justin Guarini. I can't pronounce it. It is truly one of the worst movies ever made. Like the Razzies were right. Yeah. It did, yeah. So the nominees for the worst movies of their decade there it was Can't Stop the Music, Xanadu, from Justin Kelly, the ultimate winner. That Prince movie, I forget what it's called, Cherry something. Yeah, that and the Mariah Carey movie Glitter, which is also atrocious. But to be fair, from Justin to Kelly, it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I think you'll have a blast with it because it is very 2003. Um, the songs have nothing to do with what's going on in any scene at all. It is truly some of the worst acting ever. It's like a beach movie about two like teenagers that fall in love during a beach trip. Like he has his bros, she has her girls and stuff. They're trying to find love, and it's just the most boring movie you could ever see in your entire life. Like there's a reason why like, it is, yeah, but like MTV was trying to really break it big into like making movies because Jackass the movie had just come out the previous year. It was huge, so I was like, all right, well, let's keep trying to make some musical movies. And then from Justin to Kelly, kind of just killed their attempts to become a big movie studio almost immediately. Like there's still a couple like they made some Beavis and Butthead movies here and there, but like overall, like MTV is not a movie studio like they were trying to do, and because from Justin Kelly was just that notorious of a bomb. But sure was. I would not personally know. Yeah. Did you? Well, the movie for sure, but did you watch the original Jackass TV show at all? So you can't really get to watch the original version easily because of music rights issues. Because Jackass was on MTV, they would have a lot of like licensed songs in it. they never secured the rights for the music for home video releases. So there's only like a few episodes you can actually watch of the original Jackass TV show is pretty short. It's maybe like 30 episodes total. So what they did was they for the home video release for the Jackass TV show, they released it in volumes. So they just pretty much did like 4 different compilations of it and got rid of the music because they didn't have the rights for the music. And the big MTV, that's kind of a hard thing to do, right? Because like it's kind of like with Beavis and Butthead ran into the same problem where a lot of Beavis and Butthead is them critiquing music videos and riff and doing a Mystery Science Theater thing over music videos, but they didn't really like home video rights were such an interesting thing in the 2000s. Like the reason the writer's strike happened in 2007 2008 was because all the contracts were for just reruns on TV or first run stuff. No one was ever considering home video to be a big thing, so no one was actually making all these contracts for like, hey, you get extra money for TV stuff for DVD releases. Yeah, especially for television, because like sure, like there was like a home video releases for it. Like I bet Xanadu had a VHS and a laser disc copy, but like people were not like TV was a thing where it's like you might have reruns occasionally if your show was big enough to have like 100 episodes for syndication, but like there wasn't really a demand for home video for television until the DVD era. Like sure there was some shows like X-Files and Twin Peaks and Star Trek got VHS releases, but it wasn't like a widespread thing. Once like DVD, like every show got a physical copy. Yeah. Like pretty much everything until like the streaming era took off, like there would be a DVD home release of it. Yeah. Yeah, and music rights are a pretty big thing with them too. Because I've watched I one of my favorite podcasts, We Hate Movies. They have a monthly Patreon show where they do an episodic recap of an episode of Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place. So I've watched a shocking amount of Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place. Those are both shows that have their DVD releases have like the original music, and like those shows like because they're airing on prime time on Fox in the 90s, so they actually had like pretty like REM songs and stuff in it. But they couldn't get the rights for it for streaming. So we watched it on streaming. It has like they find like royalty free music to sub in for major scenes. And like so there's one part there's like a prom scene and like they just like have like a kind of the cheapest sounding band ever doing like, a like remix of like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for like a high school prom. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just sub in any other song. But like I think they use like I don't know. There's a lot of "Color Me Bad" in that show, so it's probably a "Color Me Bad" song that they were trying to use instead. But yeah, it's another reason why physical media is so good is because like you can actually get the what the music was supposed to be in these TV shows because sometimes they just don't get for the you know for the streaming release. Like I know I think it's House. They don't have the theme song for us streaming. Yeah, I think it's House that has it. Yeah, it's like yeah, so it's like it's fast. I love talking about physical media and stuff, and I love thinking about all the right stuff that go into it. But usually, like the physical copies will have the proper music in it. In the streaming stuff, they'll lose the rights to it over time. Oh, it happens with like video games too. With like Grand Theft Auto, like they will update the game and to remove songs. Hmm. 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 Yeah, which is like it sucks so much that like if you want to play the original version of these games, you have to get like a physical copy of it for like a PS3 or an Xbox 360. Yeah, yeah, or mod it or find a mod to get it back in. But yeah, the music rights are just so frustrating to me. Like it's a, you know, it's funny because I think that you don't really run into problems with, like movies too much as you do with like TV and video games. Like there's not many movies I'm aware of that do not have the original music in some fashion. I think they kind of like assume that like Xanadu is not going to cut out a song because they lost their rights to it. But I think it might be something to do with the licensing to begin with. So because yeah, so like their lawyers got like, all right, this is going to be. But also, I guess with like movies, there was always the idea that like these, could get extra screenings down the line. We'll like give the film print to repertory theater down the line, so it's not like when Xanadu airs, the only time we're going to play it, and you play it ever again, you're going to lose it, all the ELO music. It would suck so much. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like music. I know with I know like I talk about It's a Wonderful Life episode, but like when they didn't have the rights to the music or the original story, and they just cut out the entire Pottersville scene because like, well, like we didn't have the rights to it, so but like it's public domain except for one scene, the one sequence in the movie. So which is so funny. The implication being like, oh yeah, like the money was the solution to all your problems. Yeah, yeah. So so where were we in the movie? Yeah, there's so they kind of look at there's like a recording studio that they go to, and so there's like almost like a it's the recording booth is like in the middle of it all, and like there's you can just like bring up like pictures and the light and stuff. So they have a nice like Sunny and Olivia and John have a nice little like roller skate kind of dance sequence here. Um, suddenly, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Because I don't think Sunny was doing much singing himself in this movie. And it's a nice little sequence here. I do like the choreography with the roller skates in this movie. Yeah, it's like really well visualized. And the next song is then I think the next sequence is when they the next sequence is when they decide to open up the club and everything. And Danny, the vision of it. This sequence is really cool. It's Gene Kelly and Sonny, they're imagining what it could be, and Gene Kelly's imagining a '40s kind of big band kind of thing. This kind of big band music happens here, big band play, and then Sonny's imagining like, oh, it's gonna be modern rock and stuff, and it's the kind of 1980 rock and roll kind of futuristic looking kind of thing, and it kind of like almost clashing back and forth at first, and eventually the stages like meld together. And it's a very like there's a lot of people in the sequence here too. There's like 40, 50 people all like playing instruments and singing and dancing and stuff, and it is complicated choreography. It's really cool looking. Yeah, there are so many leg warmers in this movie. Yeah, but they eventually blend together, and they pretty much decide we're going to start like we're going to blend past and present together. And mhm. Yeah, and the behind the scenes, they say like people keep asking us to play the song from Xanadu, but we never do. Like, give the people what they want. Yeah, I don't know. They can figure out a way. Hmm. Yeah, like it's like me getting mad at Taylor Swift for not playing the song from Cats during the Eras tour. Yeah. You need a lot of outfit changes. Yeah, like she does a lot of makeup changes and costume changes for it. Like, why not dress up like a Jellicle cat? Yeah, it probably take a lot longer to remove it too. Yeah, and yeah, so like at this point, the plot of the movie is like I think now she kind of reveals to him that he's she reveals that she is like one of the nine muses of um yeah, sorry, it's the okay, with the animated dance sequence, the animated sequence, the Don Bluth sequence, which looks really cool. Mhm. Yeah, and like this is before he kind of like got really big too. Like what Secret of Nim is 82, I think. American Tail hadn't been made yet, so like he was still like an animator, but like wasn't like making the big movies. Like his run in the 80s is probably more, you know, 80s, and he had a God. Don Bluth has so many bad movies though. like I grew up watching a lot of Don Bluth movies as a kid, and like yeah, American Tail is great. Five Goes West is great. Five Goes West is Jimmy Stewart's last movie, which is crazy. Yeah, um, he's like a dog sheriff, I think. Yeah, yeah. But like I do like how Don Bluth's movies look for the most part. This sequence is it's it's bizarre. They're like transforming into various animals and stuff and like hopping around. It's a long sequence too. I don't necessarily love it per se. I like that this movie has the audacity to have an anime sequence in it, but like I don't love it looking at it too much. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yep. I think everyone involved was nervous going to the screening of this movie. Yeah. And he was happy there was actually some applause with it. People actually liked it. Yeah, so then this is when they pretty much figure out who they are. He finds out that she's like, some Greek muse. And we get a really cool sequence next with Gene Kelly going to a mall. Ah, oh my god, it's somewhere. It's somewhere. it's a great song, and Gene Kelly's like pretty much like trying on various outfits at this mall. And the mall is like very like brightly colored. Not in a typical 80s kind of mall fashion, but it's very, it looks like a 70s mall. I love how he's trying on these outfits and just like doing a little tap dancing here and there. He looks great. Um, yeah, and like they're almost like, some of them have like hair that's almost like bird shaped, and the way that they're looking at him, moving their heads around, it's very much like a bird reacting to seeing something. Hmm. Yeah, a very flock of seagulls. Yeah, yeah, which is so 1970s. Hmm. And I think it's funny when people talk about like, bad movies. Like, I just did an episode of Super Mario Brothers, and people can look at that movie and be like, "This is what Toad is supposed to look like," and show like a disgusting alien, like a dinosaur monster thing that's supposed to be Toad, or like, "This is what Yoshi looks like." It doesn't look like Yoshi at all. But like, I feel like Xanadu is a movie that like, even with, especially with our social media age, like people are not going to be looking at Xanadu like, "Oh, look how awful this clip looks." Like, there's no scene in this like Amelia Perez with the penis to vagina song where social media can just obviously just dunk on it. Hmm. Hmm. Have you, speaking of a 80s movie set in a mall, have you heard of the movie called The Apple? So The Apple is directed by Menahem Golden of Golden Globus for Canon Films. So The Apple is kind of like an Adam and Eve allegory set in the futuristic world of 1994. And it's, another one of those movies is considered one of the worst movies ever made. But I think it's a lot of fun. The same way I find Xanadu a lot of fun because the the way they do the kind of they're clearly filming it all in a shopping mall, but trying to make it look like the far flung future of 1994. I do highly recommend the movie a lot because it's a really really fun movie. Yeah, um, yeah. So after yeah, and this they find this out in Xanadu itself, which is like a portal that he goes through. Yeah, looking through his art and stuff, and I couldn't tell what movie it was. Mhm. And yeah, this is pretty much the remaining plot of the movie is going to be them just kind of like I can't fall in love with you because like I'm an ancient Greek thing, and like him be like, oh, but I love you too much. Like, can't you just like fall in love with me anyway? um, Yeah, and I think it becomes a much less interesting movie once they start focusing on the element. I much prefer just the roller rink stuff and trying to get the roller derby going. And yeah, and yeah, so like apparently she's been sent down to inspire this creation of this club Xanadu, and she cannot fall in love with mortals. And but she's because she's now fulfilled the as part of her duty to like inspire the creation of this nightclub, she can now leave Earth. Yeah, and now like and Gene Kelly's like you can still keep pursuing your dreams. You can fall in love with her. You can create your club. Your muse may have left you, but like don't let your muse like affect your creativity like it affected mine. It's so bizarre. This movie is technically a sequel. Yeah, I just love the idea that like we're trying to figure out Xanadu, so you have to watch a different movie that like he didn't know was related to. Yeah, the XCU. But yeah. But we can probably speed through like the rest of this pretty quick because not much more happens. Like, like, he talks to Zeus. Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but yeah. And like, oh, so they talk and like he pleads with like, hey, like within like I kind of like how the realm of the gods looks like, where it's like very much like neon strip colors, a lot of outlines. Clearly, there's like all the outlines over the film itself. So like it is a very cheesy looking effect, but it kind of looks like it fits the art style of the movie because it is very much still the Art Deco neon style. Hmm. Hmm. But like yeah, like Zeus is like like fuck you, buddy, and sends Sunny back to Earth. Like he doesn't really care about it. But no, then now Kira as Olivia and John has like a lot of you're like oh, but I love him so much, and her dad's like all right, yeah, and then yeah, so then now she's back on Earth and stuff, and it's the grand opening of the Xanadu Club. So um, very large, bombastic song and dance number here. Hmm. It's like there's like a center thing in the center, like a stage in the center, and it's like a circular, it's like an oval rink around it, and there's kind of like it's clearly just like a roller disco type thing, but with like a stage in the middle. Um, and but yeah, Gene Kelly's leading all these people, like all these rollerblade dancers, into like a song and dance number, and it's extravagant. There's like people like swinging from the ceiling and stuff. It's supposed to be a merge of the past and present, but it's also mostly just 80s stuff. Yeah, and like yeah, so Living John does some like hoedown stuff. It's so much. The special behind the scenes stuff goes a lot into like how many outfit changes there were for the specific sequence. It's a very convoluted sequence, a convoluted way to end the movie. And at this point, I've completely forgotten like the plot of the film because I'm more engaged in the song and dance than I am the actual romance or anything. Like you forget there was a Greek god in the scene before. Like, yeah, it's a really extravagant number, and like it's really cool, and like and then Kira's supposed to return to her realm, and he's all sad, but Gene Kelly orders him a cocktail, and but the cocktail waitress looks exactly like her. Yeah, so he has a conversation with her, and so like presumably a version of Olivia and John is still down on Earth for them to fall in love with, and yeah, yeah, he's not like freaking the fuck out like I would. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And do you think that this new version of Olivia and John is still aware of all the Zeus stuff? So it's like, hey, your dad's Zeus or whatever. Yeah, or like, or imagine like this cocktail waitress being like, "Oh yeah, do you want to meet my parents this weekend?" And it's like, "Oh, I already met your dad, Zeus. We were in the we were at Mount Helicon together." Like, no, yeah, but yeah. So that's the plot of Xanadu, which is a very it has a plot, but it's a very loose plot. You don't really watch Xanadu for the plot per se. You watch it for the vibe more than anything else. So this movie came out in August of 1980. Um, it was supposed to drop on some like 500 screens, but it only was released on 200 because I think they started panicking. It wasn't screened for critics. Universal had no faith in the film at all. Um, yeah. But the producers still think that like if the movie was released on more screens, it would have been a hit because like the soundtrack was such a big hit that like it could have made up for the lack of quality for the movie. Yeah, and like I think I'm just gonna double check because I think Empire Strikes Back might have still been in the theater at this point in time. So like that's gonna be actually no, it's a few months out, so probably not. But yeah, like it's this is a movie where if clearly they're trying to chase a trend by making Xanadu to appeal to the disco era and appeal to the roller skate era, that if they completely missed the vibe check, that like yeah maybe people were not gravitating towards this movie. But like in critics, they didn't like the effects, they didn't like the acting, they didn't like the story, but they like the musical numbers. And when people look back at Xanadu, because it is a cult classic now, um, people like it for the music, and like that's what I like. With the movie. I like the kind of the feel of the vibe of the movie, but like the plot is nothing. Like the romance is nothing. Like, hmm hmm yeah, but like it's funny because I think I overall like the song numbers that involve her music more than the ELO numbers in this movie. Um, because the ELO because they're not really performing in this, they're not really characters in the movie like Olivia and John is. Yeah, yeah, because like he's a rock star, right? You can probably probably get some people like oh you can at least see like him in this movie, like because a lot of rock bands are like doing acting performances and around this era too. Like yeah, no, it's a strange strange involvement for ELO to be in this movie, and I think it works for saying about the bizarre vibe of it. But like this movie only made $23 million off of a $20 million budget, so it was a pretty big bomb for what was supposed to be a small, low budget picture that ballooned in price because of you get Olivia and John, you get Gene Kelly, so you can throw more money towards it. It's a pretty big box office disappointment. Like I try to look at Empire Strikes Back yet again because that was like Empire Strikes Back cost $30 million, so like it. Yeah, so like this movie only cost like $10 million less than Empire Strikes Back and made like nothing. Yeah. But yeah, so like as time's gone on, there's been like, a bit more cult following. People kind of like look at this movie as things, they're like, this is totally just cocaine as a movie. There's been there's an unauthorized stage show called Xanadu Live that was people like kind of like mocking the film's dialogue and like miming the songs as they're happening. And of course, it's the Broadway production I brought before. This movie has like a big 4K release too. Like people kind of came around to this movie as kind of being like, I think if this movie is just chasing trends and people hated the trends back then, at least looking back at it now, you can kind of like look at like, oh, this is like of a specific moment that is like, I wasn't around for disco or roller skating, but this is a disco roller skate movie, and it's kind of fun to look at. Yeah, Robert Greenwald, mostly, actually only a few narrative features, but he was pretty big in the 2000s when he came to directing pretty progressive documentaries, mostly about like being against like, conservative media and the Bush administration. So he's more of a documentary guy over time. He's won some Emmys here and there. I know he did some like, I remember watching the one when it came up like how like Walmart's pure evil. That's one I really remember. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Like, yeah, like what a fascinating career, right? Like you make Xanadu and you make a movie about Gaza. Like I believe so, yeah. Yeah. But are any of his movies more important than Xanadu though? Yeah. Yeah. So you have any final thoughts about Xanadu? Yeah, I think it only makes sense when it comes to thinking like the Razzies just trying to chase trends rather than them actually being an arbiter of like what movies bad or good. Yeah, although they were right about War of the Worlds being the worst movie of last year. That movie is that's a doozy. I it's just the Amazon Prime drone delivery scene is the funniest thing I've ever seen in a movie. It's such bad product synergy. The fact that it's clearly filmed like at a computer lab at a university during COVID. People would have forgiven it a lot more, I think. Yeah, yeah. Like if they released it like I don't know January 2021, and it's like we made this film last year, very quick, very cheap, and we're just gonna pump it out. Like I feel like a lot of people would be like kind of forgiven it for like oh look what they were doing with all the limitations, but I kind of love it when they have to release a movie that they kind of want to shelf forever because of like all the contracts and stuff with like royalties and box office percentage and stuff or streaming numbers like for bonuses. Like I love yeah. Like, I bet some of the people really wish they wrote off her as a tax credit. Mhm. Acme versus Coyote. Or Coyote versus Acme, yeah. Yeah. And no one would have really cared. I am still fascinated to see what that Batgirl movie would have looked like. Yep. And like they axed it right after he won his Oscar. So right when he was like the most marketable he could possibly be. It's Warner Bros. Who knows? Because it's not like they're against releasing bad movies. No, even, they're always releasing bad DC movies anyway. So yeah, if they release The Killing Joke, they can release Batgirl. Yeah. Yeah, they make enough changes from the original graphic novel to like it's the changes are baffling more than anything else. Yep, I believe so. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, it's a baffling one. Just like Xanadu is baffling, but not in a problematic way. Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for joining me, Ethan. Anything you want to plug? Hmm. Yeah, if you give me that information, I will put it in the episode description when I release it. Okay, so thank you so much again for joining me. Movie Pod will continue next week, and I'm going to be bringing back Johnny Amazich, and we're talking about Constantine, a movie I've not seen since the theater, with Keanu Reeves. I remember not liking the theater, but I remember back in 2005, 2006 when it came up, people were pretty tired of Keanu Reeves. Uh, Superhero movies were a complete flux back then. But like Francis Lawrence, the director, and he went on to do like all the good Hunger Games movies. So like yeah, and The Long Walk, which is a great movie. So like he's a solid action director. So I'm really stoked to go back and revisit it. Yeah, yeah. So until next week, when I'm talking Constantine, take care.